doubt about it.
All right, all set?
We good to go. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, yet again, just pouring content out over here. Metrics and Mayhem, going all summer, going all fall, sticking consistent with it. And I am back here on another Monday night with my man, Dom Melchior, the Mayhem of the equation. Dom, tell me something good.
The Eagles are exactly where we thought they would be.
And that is where?
7-2, like we said they'd be.
And the most frustrating 7-2 team ever? Or
and yeah, you know why they're frustrating?
I got to hear this now.
They're frustrating for the exact reason why we said they're frustrating. Because we said they were this, but yet they were doing that. And now, when they did that, and we thought they were that, now they're this.
Uh-huh.
When we all thought, why were you that?
And it's very easy to follow, when the Mayhem starts talking this cerebrally like this. Let's get into it right away. The Eagles win 34-6 in convincing fashion over, at best, a decimated and devastated Dallas Cowboys team in Big D. First question I'll ask you is, what is your disdain level for the Dallas franchise? Is that an all-time high in football, or where does Dallas hate rank on your football hate list?
It's high. It's high. And it's probably unfair, to be honest with you, because Dallas did nothing wrong being people from Dallas, being a franchise in Dallas. What ruined it was the jamokes, the a-holes, the malakas.
I'm sorry. Did you just say a jamoke?
The jamokes.
I've never heard of that. What does that mean?
You never heard that word?
I've never heard of it.
The jabronis, who are Dallas Cowboy fans that live up here, who have zero ties to the area, to Dallas, to Texas. It's because like my uncle and my father, they argued all the time, and one of them was a Cowboys fan, and one of them was an Eagles fan, and the Eagles fan was a jerk, and the Cowboys fan was nice, so I'm a Cowboys fan. Like, shut the hell up.
Okay.
Shut up. If you that's why I hate the Cowboys more than I hate, like, say, somewhere like the Giants, because at least we're geographically understandable. That if you live in southern New Jersey, and if you're a Giants fan, you may have been born in North Jersey, or may have been born in New York, and now you live here. It's understandable. I don't hate Giants fans. I don't hate Redskins fans. But if you're a Dallas fan who lives in this area, you're just an asshole.
Yeah, that's an outstanding point. Now, how much of the hatred, I guess, just in sports, do you equate it like maybe 50-50 to, what's going on with the team and the players, or do the fans really dictate a lot of the hatred in sports for you? Maybe not just football, but just really around.
It really has nothing to do with the franchise itself. It's just the fans who are here. So I want to beat Dallas more than I want to beat anybody else, just to not to say we beat Dallas or to beat the Cowboys franchise, but to shut the people up around here.
Okay.
That's the only reason. It's literally the only reason.
That's interesting. I feel like fantasy sports has definitely done a number on hatred. I think we've talked about this before where, I could hate the Dallas Cowboys, but if I drafted CD Lamb, there's still a part of me that's like, if it's garbage time, hook me up with a little touchdown, it won't be like, we would have never thought that before any sort of fantasy sports, there was just pure, beatdown sort of stuff. But, for me anyway, I never related to the Dallas hate. It was never a team that they were too good when I first got into football, and the Eagles were not that good. The Eagles were okay, but Dallas was just far superior. It wasn't even a fair fight. When I got into it and started going to the games, that's when it was the Eagles-Giants rivalry. And that one, to me, and this Giants team, I actually don't hate. I mean, they're terrible, but there's nothing worth hating on that team. They're just so far inferior. There's no feelings left anymore. But like 2000s Giants, Eagles, John Runyon, Michael Strahan, Eli, like that was visceral hate.
Yeah.
Team.
Yeah. And it was very competitive back then.
Yes.
I think that's what drove it as well. It always felt like it was Giant, or it always felt like it was Cowboys or Eagles, and it was never the Giants and the Redskins. It's actually kind of like how it's been now.
Yeah.
And the NFC East is a weird division because like No team has won it back to back in a long time. I think that streak is still going. I think it's the only division where it's like that. Um, so yeah, I think just the competitive nature of the NFC East made it that way, and the Cowboys and Eagles were the two. I still think they're the two best teams. They're the two best franchises in the division.
Okay.
You sprinkle in a little bit of Giants luck with Eli and catching lightning in a bottle, winning those two titles.
You can say the
But I
same thing.
feel like
You can say the same thing for Nick Foles.
yeah, I mean, but like I feel like the Giants are just bad, 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 bad. Okay, they had a really great year and they won a Super Bowl. Now they're back to bad, 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 bad. Where the Eagles and the Cowboys are just two franchises that are just built for success for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where a lot of the rivalry with Dallas comes in from a team standpoint. But for me, fuck the fans.
Yeah,
Fuck those Cowboys fans who live up here. I hate
absolutely.
them. I hate them. Shout out to my buddy Gary, who's a Cowboys fan. You're an asshole. 2 weeks out of the year, 2 weeks out of the year, you're an asshole.
Well, and then
50,
a couple of things with that too. Like Batman needs the Joker, right? You kind of
yes,
need them to be of equal status to have that relationship and
yes.
or that rivalry go. Um, oh crap! I blanked on the other point, but nonetheless, I would say that this win, getting back to the game and working this in, very convincing for the Eagles, which is what they should have done
Yes.
out of this game.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is what we should have expected. This is why I say they're frustrated because what they did to the Cowboys is what I expected them to do to Jacksonville.
mhm.
And we talked about this the week before Jacksonville. I said this is going to be a backdoor cover Jacksonville game. We should blow them out, but we won't. And it's exactly why I say they're frustrated because there's a blueprint on what the Eagles do sometimes. And it's to have these hiccups where they should murder a team and they just don't. They
Yeah,
can't
right.
get out of the way. And that's why they're frustrated.
Well, and to go back to it, I mean, there's still a Saquon Barkley drop ball from away from 8-1.
Yeah, for being the one of the three best teams. I mean, what are they? They're one of the three best teams anyway. But like,
I mean, aside from the Lions, I mean, your Lions are 8-1, Kansas City 9-0. We'll get to that in a second. But even with that loss, what do you got? 8-2 Buffalo right now. There's right now the second seed in the NFC East, the fourth strongest record in
yeah,
football.
they're gonna
And
buy. They're gonna buy right now and home field advantage until they play Detroit. But which is crazy because like this doesn't feel like a team that should be 8-1 or 7-2, what they are, with any type of like this is their first dominant performance, to be honest with you.
yes,
This was their first dominant performance.
well, that was one of the things I was going to talk about too. Like, we had said for weeks now, we just want to see this team come out and convincingly dominate another team.
Yeah.
And if Dak Prescott isn't out for the year, and if it's a different team, next week when Washington comes, like that's going to be a much different offense. This team hasn't seen an offense in weeks. And of course, their defenses looked elite. But this Washington team, after that loss they're coming off right now with Pittsburgh, that's going to be a real test for this team.
Yeah. And you know me, I've been screaming that Pittsburgh is legit, and it looks like they are. Yeah, and that move going from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, I kind of called that too.
Yep.
And I said, hey, I like the move going to Russell Wilson, even though Justin Fields had the hot hand. Doesn't matter. Russell Wilson still got plenty left in the gas tank, and I think he's showing it now.
Yeah, absolutely. That win for the
They're a
Steelers.
scary team. Listen, I would not be shocked if the Steelers are in the Super Bowl. Would you?
Yes, I would, because I don't know how Kansas City manages to find pants to fit with a horseshoe jammed up their ass the way that they do. Denver has the ball on the 5, Dom, and they block a field goal to win the game.
Yeah.
It's almost not fair at this point. Like that game, they were dead all game. Denver did everything right to bottle that team up. And on the 5-yard line, Dom, you're going to give me a blocked field goal to hang on for the win. This is destiny. Again, is this team going to three-peat?
Okay. No, I still think they've been overachieving all year. That team is devoid of offensive talent. It just is. I mean, they're devoid of offensive talent. Their line is not nearly as good as it used to be. Their defense is still their defense. Spags is still Spags.
But
They're
I
going
mean,
to
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but in fairness, you lose
yeah,
Pacheco, you lose Rashee Rice. I mean,
yeah,
you're losing some significant playmakers on that team,
and
not to
you're
mention
adding
Juju.
yeah, and you're adding ancient players to fill the void.
Mm.
It's just not going to be sustainable. But I think what their mindset is that as long as they have enough to compete, they will compete because you got the ultimate X factor, Patrick Mahomes, who just wins.
Just wins.
He finds a way to win. He's the ultimate winner. Like he is Tom Brady in a sense where he wins, even though there's other more talented players in the league. Like I think we always knew Aaron Rodgers, Philip Rivers were always better throwers of the football. You know, Peyton Manning he had a better mind than but Tom Brady's just a winner.
Yep.
Like he just found ways to win. Like you weren't going to stop him, and that's what Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes is not the most talented quarterback in the NFL. I think that title probably goes to Josh Allen, but Josh Allen's a loser and Patrick Mahomes is a winner.
If the Kansas City Chiefs three-peat,
yeah,
is that are they more of a what's the word, Dom, that I'm looking for? Is that more of a legacy than what the Patriots had? Is that
no,
more of a
no,
could you see them having that lasting impact?
no. I think what the Patriots did
Dynasty is the word I was thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, the dynasty, the Patriot dynasty was sustainable for 2 decades. 2 decades in
Yeah.
the NFL where there's turnaround and parity every single year. The Patriots did it for 2 decades.
It's an amazing feat.
I mean, how many years did Tom Brady play in New England? Like maybe I think what 17.
I'll take it.
And
Yeah,
then
17, 18.
and then he played 3 in Tampa. And he like 6 out of the 17 years they won. And the only time they missed the playoffs is when he got hurt.
Right.
So it's like you had 17 years of knowing full well that you had a shot to win the NFL title. That has never happened.
Yeah,
ever.
That's crazy.
Not 2 decades worth, maybe a stretch of 8 years when you have a stud quarterback. Like I'm sure Indianapolis felt that way when they had Peyton Manning. It wasn't for 2 decades.
Yeah, not for 2 decades.
No. Even like when when you had Dan Marino or Brett Favre, you had like we got a great quarterback, we got a shot. Not for a decade. Not even for a decade for those guys, but 2, come on.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I will say 3 in a row is definitely a feat in today's game in and of itself. But maybe like we're saying, dynasty talk right now might be a little bit premature.
Well,
but to get back I was going to say to get back to your first question, it would surprise me if the Pittsburgh Steelers got to the Super Bowl.
I mean, listen, if would it surprise you if it was Pittsburgh versus Kansas City in the AFC title game?
No.
Yeah.
No, it would not.
And again, like once you get to that point, it's a crapshoot. Anything can happen. And you got 2 guys. If that was your AFC title game, I don't think Russell Wilson's scared of Patrick Mahomes. He's not a deer in the headlights to Andy and Patrick. He's like, oh, I've been here. I did this. Like,
right.
We're good. We're good.
And I've gotten past this phase too.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I do agree with you there. I would agree that the Steelers defense for the majority of the year has definitely played themselves at a Super Bowl level. But a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, let's kind of talk about him for a second. The Steelers defense has been elite all year, but Jaden Daniels had himself a game. They scored 27 points, and really it was Washington's defense that let him down. A 3rd and 12 that they convert for a touchdown to end the game. I don't know that was too much on Jaden. They did have another drive that he wasn't able to convert on. But is 27 points from Washington a cause for concern for Steeler Nation, or where do you stand with maybe that one game versus the body of work the Steelers have put together this year?
I don't think it's a cause for concern for Steeler Nation at all. I mean, listen, he's a good quarterback and he prepares better than any rookie that I've ever heard of. I mean, maybe Peyton was the only one that prepared the way that this kid reportedly prepares. Like, listen, they won a game. Sometimes you're going to have to defend a good quarterback and a good team. And listen, Washington's a good team.
I know.
So if you can pull out a win, like if you can ask your quarterback to pull you out of a game where your defense, did its best but wasn't up to standard, like you need that in the NFL to win championships. So I don't think it's a cause for concern or anything. I think the fact that they pulled that game out was like I actually had Steelers outright to win that game. And they did. But it took a last minute touchdown to do it. So good for them. But yeah, I wouldn't be concerned. I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
I'd be thrilled to go to a place like Washington and win. And I would say the same thing if the Steelers went into Philadelphia and won that game too.
Absolutely.
It's not a cause for concern when you go into somebody else's house and you play the way they played and you came away with a backdoor win. That's what you need to win a Super Bowl.
Yes, I agree. And, and just playoff games in general. Some of us over here were holding a Commanders -2 ticket. So we weren't necessarily thrilled to see that one work out the way that it did. Outright is correct. And along those lines, just an absolutely horrific weekend for the metrics, if I may say so. When you're putting the money behind your mouth. Where are we at here? Atlanta.
Yeah.
They were the third seed coming in. They still remain the third seed in the NFC, but they lose to a brand new head coach in New Orleans Saints, 20-17. So they retained the 3 seed. Those pesky Arizona Cardinals, they put it on the New York Jets this week, and they've retained the 4 seed right now in the NFC. So right now you're looking Lions, Eagles, Falcons, Cardinals, and then in the wild card, you're looking at Minnesota, Washington, Green Bay. Do you feel like your sentiments stay the same where the 5, 6, and 7 in the NFC scare you more than the 2, 3, 4?
More than the 3, 4. Yeah, I'll never be afraid of Kyler Murray. Ever. I'll never be afraid of Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. I'll never be afraid of Kirk Cousins. Ever.
Even as an Eagle fan.
Listen. You can be scared of Kirk Cousins in the regular season to win you a game, but when it comes down to it in prime time, Kirk Cousins folds like origami. He never, ever, ever wins the big game, and he never will.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray, God bless him. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's still in the league. He needs a step stool to see some receivers.
I thought he was playing center field for the A's, right? Didn't we have that locked up?
I thought so. He probably has a better chance of winning a World Series title than he does in a Super Bowl. I'll never be afraid of either one of those two quarterbacks ever.
Speaking of
the same way, I'll never be afraid of Lamar Jackson to win a Super Bowl either. There's just certain guys I'm just not afraid of.
That's a pro transition right there. So why don't we go there first? Right now, the Ravens with the number 1 offense in football, the Lamar Jackson that you don't believe in, the Derrick Henry. Right now, they retain the 5 seed in the AFC. So I'm going to ask you the same question. Ravens, Chargers, Broncos, 5, 6, 7 in the AFC. Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the AFC. Does 2, 3, 4 scare you more than 5, 6, 7?
Yeah. Only because it's Pittsburgh's in there. But I'll tell you what, as high as I was on CJ Stroud, the Texans, they have stumbled significantly. And I noticed something this weekend.
What did you notice this weekend?
Are we going back to power running football and under center football? Has the league said, you know what? We tried this shotgun formation and this widespread offense formations out long enough. Let's just go back to what works. And what works is just running the rock. Look at what Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are doing.
Yes.
Right? Are we like, hey, let's go back to it?
You're trying to get the 3-point shot removed from the NBA, box it in down low, give me the low post, right?
Give me a 7'8" big man that can just throw his big ass out there and just get 2 points every single time. Can you imagine with the touch that Joel Embiid has, if he had an ounce of Shaquille O'Neal's just fire and desire? he would be the most unstoppable force the NBA has ever seen. But he is softer than Charmin.
Yes.
I mean, it
Uh,
is what it is.
Not to go unnoticed, these similes and metaphors that you're throwing out are just dynamic. So you're doing
Well,
great work there for the English people.
I'm listening to a lot of sports talk radio these days. Follow my buddy Bill. So
Oh
you know,
yeah, you guys, we had the golf hang. Yes,
we did. Yeah, me, Bill,
tell me
my buddy
about
Jeff,
this. Yes.
Swinging and Ding It, and my other buddy Mike. We had a great time. Listen, we we definitely probably consumed the most alcohol on the course. We had our own camera crew coming out there. Jeff was filming everything for his podcast, and we're sitting on 17, and we're like, yeah, we're 6 under. I think we're in contention. I think we made a lot of birdies. We made a lot of net birdies as well. And I'm like, yeah, we got to be in contention. Come to find out, the winner was 12 under. So
Whoa!
we weren't even close. We
Wow!
weren't even close, and we blew up on 18 anyway. So we had a triple bogey on 18 because the pin was just diabolical. They don't call it a greenskeeper's revenge for nothing.
Wow! How about that?
And but even if we did like come away with a par on 18, we were still bottom of the barrel. We ended up finishing second to last, but I'll tell you what, we had a great time.
That's excellent, man. Now, when you guys are out there shopping, right there, you're just out there putting around, hanging out. Are we talking sports at all? Are we just talking about the round of golf? Like, what's the conversation like out there with the boys?
Yeah, somewhat. We talk a little bit of shop for the most part, but we're just enjoying the moments. Like we're
Yeah.
creating moments and living in those when we're out there doing that. I mean, it's yeah, I think the guys who I play with, we're all like minded in that way. We don't have to force. Like Bill's an interesting guy because he's on the radio every day talking sports talk radio, and I'm sure we could probably talk about that all day long, but we don't.
Yeah, that's
You know,
good.
which is good.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like those guys who do that regularly, you live in that world every day. It's just kind of nice to unload and, friendships and all that stuff aren't supposed to be challenging. It should be
Yeah,
nice, flowing, natural stuff. So, that's very cool to hear you guys are making that happen, man. That's good.
yeah, but we had a blast. One of my few remaining golf tournaments of the year, and for a little while, for the foreseeable future, since I will not be returning to the Legacy Club next year.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, breaking news, right?
Breaking news.
Yeah, I will not be returning. We have some other professional ventures that we're getting off the ground in 2025 that we want to focus on.
Nice.
So the golf is going to have to subside a little bit.
Okay. Still planning a membership somewhere?
No membership anywhere. We are nowhere. We are a free agent
A friend.
for the time being. So we'll see what place makes an offer to the king of tournaments here.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I was going to say with your resume right now, you'd think you'd have a couple of places looking your way.
A lot of this crystal back here. We had our champions dinner this week as well. We brought home some more.
Oh, that's excellent, man. Very good. So when's the last round of official golf for you?
Well, the way this winter's been going, hopefully December something.
Right. Yeah.
But the last tournament is Black Friday.
Black Friday. Wow, that's coming up quick, man.
Yep, that's
Very
the last official tournament.
Okay. Let's work it back into the Eagles before we run out of time really quick.
Yep.
The Eagles, after being at Dallas, come home and host the Commanders on Thursday night. What's your read on that game heading into it? What are your thoughts early, and what do you see happening?
I mean, I think both of these teams want this game bad, right? I think the Eagles want to shut up a lot of people by saying that they're only beating teams that are sub 500. Listen, you have to play who's on your schedule. It is what it is. You play who's on your schedule, and it does have an eerily similar feeling to the Phillies, though, when they got off to that hot start, and then they kind of just like played 500 ball the rest of the way, and then you're like, you're not really hot going into the playoffs, and then you get to the playoffs and you throw a stinker up there.
Yep.
Kind of feels the same way a little bit, but hey, listen, I think both these teams are ready to play. And if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago how I felt, I would have said Washington would have ran over this team. But the way this defense has been ball hawking, and let me tell you, they're ball hawking. These young players that we got are starting to shine and fill the roles that we wanted them to. And I feel good about it. I feel good about it only because of the defense. Maybe not because of the offense, because I still have question marks about the identity of the offense. We've established that we are a running under the center team the last couple weeks. We'll see when push comes to shove if they revert back to, hey, let's just drop Jalen back and throw it 30 times because pressure's on. We gotta have our stars shine. Like, no, 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 no. You run the rock.
I
Run it with Saquon.
I could not agree with you anymore. I have
That's
significant
scary. So,
I
yeah,
know. I have significant trepidation about this game. If you to go back to your point, talking about who the Eagles have played, let me just run this back for you real quick. Coming off of the Buccaneers game where the sky was falling, we go into the bye. Cleveland, the Giants, the Bengals, the Jaguars, and that Cowboys team that we just
yeah.
played last week. They have not played a team anywhere near the ilk of what Washington is playing. So my concern, Dom, like you just brought up, is that what happens when the Washington Commanders go up 10-0? What
Yep.
happens when they go up 14-0? The identity then goes because it's Thursday night and everybody's watching. And what happens? We're just going to start chucking it down the field. That frightens me. So
Yes.
this is a team that throughout the year has done a very poor job of establishing any sort of continuity scoring wise in the first quarter and the first half in general. So when you play a team like Washington with such a potent offense, this one does frighten me that they get down early. And this team that we've seen for the past few weeks is not the same team because now they're playing from behind.
Yeah, it's one of those teams. Eagles are one of those teams where I can see them winning this game, winning a close one, or getting blown out. Or because I don't see the Eagles blowing out the Commanders. I think the Commanders have an identity, and which will never allow them to be blown out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what's frustrating about the Eagles teams is that you just don't know, and that's why I say they're a frustrating team. Is you just don't know what version you're going to get week in and week out.
Well,
The Commanders have an identity. The Lions have an identity. The Chiefs have an identity. The Steelers have an identity. Like we know what we're getting. These Super Bowl teams, the Eagles are talented enough to win the Super Bowl teams, but they have the identity to not allow themselves to get blown out of a game.
well, they haven't played from behind in a convincing way. Like those teams that you mentioned last night, Houston had the majority of that game. They were
Yeah.
ahead most of that game, but Detroit's identity and their will got them back in. Pittsburgh yesterday was behind for the majority of the game and then at the end won. So we haven't seen that from the Eagles all year to be playing from behind and to come back and take a game.
Well, I sent you that video of Motor City Dan Campbell saying that the identity of the Lions is that we'll tread water long enough till we drown you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is 100% the case. They're not going to change.
I
If
agree.
you beat them, congratulations, but you're going to beat them.
But why would you? If you're 8-1, why would you change? Right?
Yeah.
Do you? So
But
I have.
this game will show me a lot about the direction of the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And what confidence they have in sticking to a formula that has been successful, or do they let their egos and their hubris dictate what they're going to do if something bad happens?
And on the other side as well. I mean, this is really the first time that Jaden Daniels is coming off of a loss on a short week. So how does he get right on the road in Philadelphia? How can the Eagles adjust right now? The template is set for this team to succeed. But if they get punched in the mouth, how does this team react and adjust to, getting punched in the mouth for the first time in maybe 6 weeks?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think the best thing that happens to the Eagles is that they actually get the ball first. And they just establish a running, like just ram it down their throat.
Yeah.
Say, stop it. Stop Saquon.
Right.
And if they can, great. Maybe they'll take some time off the clock. Maybe it'll settle Jalen a little bit. But I think the worst thing they can do is they win the toss, defer it, and then Jaden Daniels takes them down 80 yards, and all of a sudden, the first 4 plays are coming out. Sing, 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 4 and out or 3 and out.
Yep.
We can see it happening. And that's the problem because we've seen it happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hate it when I'm on the same page as you, but I completely agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah.
Man, when the metrics and the mayhem line up, that is dangerous for all.
Yeah, it's not great.
All right.
Great.
Well, brother, that's the conclusion of another episode of Metrics and Mayhem. Like to thank you for stopping by and all the socials, all that stuff. Let's get that going and
Yep.
let's go Birds, man.
Go Birds.
Hey, give me
Do we
give me
have
one. This is basketball season as well, and I know you're a huge hoops guy right now, Dom.
yeah,
In the NBA right now, there is one team undefeated. You know who that team is?
Cleveland.
Whoa! Look at you, man. I am impressed. It's incredible
Cleveland.
work out there. That's right,
They
Cleveland
got a
Rock.
hell of a team, man. They got a hell of a team. LeBron who? LeBron who?
I love it.
Kyrie who?
I love
Kevin
it.
Love who?
Man, all over it, brother. All right,
Listen,
my man. I will
I'm
see
a-
you next week over the pod.
we're a Hoops podcast, okay?
We are Hoops Podcast. That's right. And we have a little Virginia under tonight, under 123. So let's hope we can pull that in.
Who they playing?
Don't matter, Dom.
Take the under.
Coppin State. See you, buddy.
See ya.